The bishop retreats. Makes sense. It was under attack. And now black takes the second pawn with seemingly no problems. The white bishop returns fire, gaining a tempo. Interesting move by the engineer. Rook a b8. I never thought about that during the game. I just thought that moving the queen seemed pretty natural. And queen c4 seems a reasonable enough square where it attacks e2. White's turn here. They must do something about the knight. If they move it, the c3 pawn drops. So they decide to attack again with the bishop and indirectly protecting. Now the queen protects the knight on e2. Black queen goes to a6. Not maybe slightly inaccurate. You know, I don't really see why they just didn't go. He didn't go e4 and e5 Zong-Yuan's out. But anyway, let's look at how the game finished. Queen c2. Not even sure why. Now black brought the rook to c8. That's a good move. You know, that c3 pawn's pretty weak. h3. And now another good move, knight b4. Most players would be reluctant to put a piece on pre when they're already winning material, but here it's obvious that the pawn on c3 cannot take the knight. Furthermore, the bishop can't move anywhere with tempo, realistically. I mean, for example, you might be able to, you know, if you were to try, say, something ridiculous like bishop c4, thinking that you can win the knight. You know, the rook can just take it. You know, now if rook takes it. Worst case scenario. So there's nothing to be afraid of. But I suspect even queen takes is even stronger. So white decides they have to do something, and they move their queen. Notice how white's just been shuffling backwards and forwards with their queen, which isn't a good sign. And black has everything here. They have the active bishop bearing down on c3, whole c file, whole d file, whole c file, and the queen's working on this beautiful diagonal where it's attacking, tying the white piece down, and also attacking here. And the knight's also attacking. So black's position is just completely winning, and it's no wonder the game finishes pretty quickly, in my opinion. Good move, re-centralizes the knight, threatening to get rid of the bishop pair, which is white's only trump in the position. White tries to keep the bishops, and black just swaps. There's no need to fear an attack here. White's just too slow. You know, the kingside attack on the dark squares is no real problem, because it's just going to be too difficult for the white knight to get there. Pawn takes. Again, because of the c3 pawn being so weak. And we can see the game is pretty much over. So let's just run through the last few moves pretty quickly. Queen a5. Just solidifying the position. Controlling the dark squares. Rook goes a bit passive. Knight c3, that's a beautiful move. Reducing and liquidating material again. Rook moves, it's been attacked. Knight swaps, queen swaps. Rook d6, building up on the d4 pawn with the rooks, I presume is the idea here. Queen e4. Oh, I love this move. Queen f5, just get rid of the queens. White refuses, of course, because swapping the queens would be bad for white. Don't swap queens when you're a piece down. Richard understands this, which is, you know, to his credit. You don't swap queens when you're material down in a chess game. Rook d8, and black continues to build up the pressure, not letting white have a respite. Bishop c2, awkward. You know, it's a discovered threat against the queen, but it's not much. Black just runs back to f6. Important too that they secure this diagonal with the dark squares. That they're able to attack on the long diagonal with the queen. They've got protection now for their king. So the queen's well placed on this square, and it can't easily be attacked on f6 either. Let's look at what happens next. d5. push. Now, I don't like this move. White's trying to swap off the d5 pawn for the a pawn to secure an outside pass pawn. Makes it a sense, but the problem is black's pieces are too active. So let's see what happens. Chop, chop, chop. Queen takes. So for the moment the material balance is equal, but black's next move shows you the strength of the previous queen f6 idea, because the queen can now attack and defend at the same time. Queen a1 is a good move, it's check. White's reply is forced, and now black plays another good move. Black comes back with check, forces a weakness on g3, and now double attacks the queen on a7 and the pawn on a2, winning a pawn. Sorry about that. White's turn. I was surprised they didn't check here and try to save the pawn with queen. No, well, actually they can't, so what am I talking about? Notice the queen's protecting the b8 square. And you can see that from the engine now that the game's just -6, which is a rook and a pawn, so the game's just completely lost according to the engine. Black captures, white gets their check in, it's too late now, the king is nice and safe on g7. And now instructive, the queen keeps the diagonal protected, hits c2, and this game's over, because if the bishop moves, the x-ray attack on f2 will be check, and finito la musica. I hope you enjoyed that game, and hopefully I'll see you soon with another game. Good night.